Hey y'all, welcome to Peyton Energetics. I'm Peyton, and today we are talking about traits of Pleiadian starseeds. But before we dive in, if you're new here, don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss weekly video updates to help make your spiritual journey easier. So today we are going to take a look at some of the common characteristics of Pleiadian starseeds. So if you have been always drawn to the Pleiadians and fascinated by the Pleiadian star cluster and wondering if you may be a Pleiadian starseed yourself, today's video may help you figure that out. But before we jump into the characteristics of a Pleiadian starseed, it's helpful to take a look at what a starseed in general is, because this is kind of a new concept that has popped up in the spiritual community over maybe the past 2 to 3 years, and it has spread like wildfire. So if you don't know what a starseed is, what we are talking about with the term starseed is a soul that has incarnated on Earth at this time to help Earth and humanity through the ascension process. So starseeds are high-level souls who come from highly advanced civilizations in the galaxy, who then volunteer to incarnate on Earth to help support Earth during the Ascension project. And so the mission that starseeds come to Earth with is to hold and anchor high vibrational knowledge, energy, and information into the Earth and into the human collective to help raise the vibration of the planet, to help it through the ascension process. So that is kind of the overarching purpose of a starseed. They come to Earth, they take the assignment, they volunteer to come from their star system to be experts, to be energy teachers, healers, and even just to hold a high vibration to help raise the vibration of humanity. So that is what a starseed in general is. And most starseeds that we see incarnating on Earth come from one of the 7 star systems that is most closely tied with Earth and its evolution. And so today we're going to take a look at one of the most common starseed races, and that is the Pleiadians. And if you are part of the spiritual community, you have no doubt heard of the Pleiadians. You may be very familiar with them, because they are the star race that is working most closely with humanity right now to help humanity ascend. They are the gatekeepers of the 5th dimension, and so they are side by side working with lightworkers right now to help raise the vibration of humanity so that we can move into the 5th dimension. So there are a lot of Pleiadian starseeds on planet Earth right now, and today we're going to take a look at some of the common characteristics that many Pleiadian starseeds share. Now, when we talk about these common characteristics, it doesn't mean that every single Pleiadian starseed will have these, much like the Pleiadians themselves. The Pleiadian system is a vast star system with thousands of stars and thousands of different races at all levels of the dimensional scale. So when we talk, we are talking in broad generalities of some of those traits and characteristics that are seen frequently, but it's kind of like talking about what does a being on planet Earth look like or act like? Well, it depends if you're talking about a human or if you're talking about a jellyfish. So the Pleiadian system is no different, very diverse. And so we're going to just look at some of the more common traits just to see if these resonate with you and help you understand your star lineage a little better. So when we talk about Pleiadian starseeds, the Pleiadians themselves have some things that resonate often with humans that encounter them. And so many people describe the Pleiadians themselves as being very tall, Nordic in appearance. Although again, that is just one of the many races of Pleiadian, but that is a description that just helps you get a sense of who we're talking about when we reference the Pleiadians. And so when we look at Pleiadian starseeds, a lot of times they share some of the characteristics that we know from the Pleiadians themselves. And some of those physical characteristics that you may see in a Pleiadian starseed are the tendency to be taller, more Nordic in appearance. A lot of people say they look like me, being a Pleiadian starseed. So Pleiadian starseeds may have slightly higher foreheads and big eyes and a small mouth. They're often described as Pleiadian starseed characteristics. Pleiadians are also described as having high cheekbones. Although the Nordic thing is not exclusive, there are many indigenous races that trace their ancestry to the Pleiadian. So again, it's not all for one, just describing some of the general traits that may pop up with Pleiadian starseeds. Pleiadian starseeds can also have certain health struggles that are more common in Pleiadian starseeds than maybe some of the other star races or even humanity in general. And some of those sensitivities that Pleiadians can be prone to are having lower blood pressure and body temperature. They can also be prone to food sensitivities and food allergies. And oh my God, I can so relate to that. Pleiadian starseeds may also have issues with thyroid, endocrine, and some of those other adrenal type systems in their body tend to be more common in Pleiadian starseeds than maybe the general population. So there are certain things, certain quirks, you might say, that Pleiadian starseeds can show to reveal their Pleiadian ancestry. Now, Pleiadian starseeds do have a slight advantage over some of the other starseed races in that Pleiadian genetics are said to be more similar to human genetics. So Pleiadian starseeds don't always struggle quite as much with being in their physical body as some of the other starseed races. In particular, Arcturian starseeds and Andromedan starseeds can really have a major struggle just being in a physical body because the genetics of those star systems are not as compatible with human genetics, according to the guides. And so that can just mean that certain starseeds are not as comfortable in their physical body as others. And so Pleiadian starseeds may have it a little easier in that the guides tell us that Pleiadian genetics are more similar and are a heavier part of human genetics. And so Pleiadian starseeds might not struggle as much with just being in physical form as some of our starseed friends who are from other systems that are not quite as compatible with the human dense physical body. Now, one other characteristic that Pleiadian starseeds are very much known for, and this actually is not unique just to Pleiadian starseeds, but probably to many starseeds, and that is that they are known for being extremely sensitive, extremely intuitive, and highly empathic. The Pleiadians are known for being very heart-centered, very loving, and all about relationships and family. And so this sensitivity is part of what the Pleiadian starseed brings to the table, is just extreme empathy for other beings. So the Pleiadians are all about being in the heart, being loving. They are really not into the gossip, the drama. Anything that is not equal treatment of all beings can drive a Pleiadian starseed nuts. The Pleiadians are all about equality, fair treatment of everyone, and so they can be very intolerant of injustice, unfairness, racism, oppression, anything that is not equal treatment of all beings can be very, very difficult for Pleiadian starseeds to tolerate and to be around. So it's just one of the things, because Pleiadians and Pleiadian starseeds tend to share this trait, are known to be very opposed to hierarchies, rules, rigid structure. Having to keep a rigid schedule drives Pleiadian starseeds nuts many times. So Pleiadian starseeds are not great at the 9 to 5, at bureaucracy, red tape, any of that structure and just heavy rules and limitations can make a Pleiadian's starseed's skin crawl. We are just not down with that. So Pleiadians are all about freedom, flow, just everybody doing their thing, being in harmony and being in peace. So if you resonate with that, could mean that you are part of the Pleiadian starseed family. Now, another thing that is very common with Pleiadian starseeds is that they tend to describe themselves as the black sheep of the family. And of their community, and of their school, and of their friend group. And this is also one of those things that is not unique just to Pleiadian starseeds, but probably to many starseeds. It's a feeling of being an outsider. And there is actually a very solid reason as to why starseeds feel like that, and that is because of the vibration they hold. All starseeds are here to anchor a high vibration onto planet Earth. And because of that, they come in holding a vibration that is much higher than the average human. And because of that, it causes kind of a vibrational separation between the starseed and humans vibrating at a more normal or mainstream level. And so that can cause the starseed to feel like the odd man out, like they don't fit, like they don't understand humans, what they're doing, why they're doing it. And it is because of this vibrational separation. And of course, holding that high vibration is what the starseed is here to do. So it is just kind of one of those double-edged situations where if you come in holding a vibration much higher than the average person on the planet, it can cause you to feel a little separated, a little isolated, and Pleiadian starseeds are no different. So if you feel like the black sheep of your family, you are not alone. So another thing that a lot of Pleiadian starseeds report is feeling very separate and isolated from their families, even to the point of choosing to incarnate into very difficult family dynamics. This is so common with my Pleiadian starseed clients, is that they almost across the board describe having very difficult childhoods, very difficult family relationships, and a lot of times the starseed, although we don't appreciate it now that we're here in this human body, but a lot of times starseeds choose to have difficult childhoods and to incarnate into challenging family dynamics is so that the starseed can learn the struggles of the average human. Because if they were to come in vibing love and light all the time at this and be loved and supported by their family, it could be more challenging for starseeds to help humanity the way they are here to do. So many starseeds report difficult families, childhoods, experiences. And part of that can be something that the starseed did deliberately choose before incarnating, but it was with the purpose to help the starseed understand the suffering of the humans that starseed was coming in to help. So again, it's one of those very common starseed characteristics, not always a fun one to experience, but if that is part of your experience, it could be one of those signs that you too are a starseed. So when we look also at Pleiadian starseeds, some of the things that they tend to prefer or not prefer, Pleiadian starseeds tend to be great healers and teachers. A lot of times they are here to work in healing modalities, to teach. That is a big part. Sharing education is a big part of what happens in the Pleiadian system, the Pleiadian star system. And so Pleiadian starseeds often are here to continue that mission. Pleiadians are also an interesting trait about Pleiadian starseeds is they often are not ones who feel pulled to be activists. So as much as Pleiadian starseeds are not fans of rules and structure and laws and all of this oppression that is on the human world right now, Pleiadian starseeds tend not to be big activists. The way they deal with that oppression that they are not a fan of is really to undermine things from the inside. They are more the kind who would undermine authority by asking questions, showing a new way to do things, as opposed to be the activist, in-your-face, confrontational type approach to solving problems. Because again, this may go back to the Pleiadian tendency to not want to be in drama, conflict, confrontation. And so the way Pleiadian starseeds often break down these systems of oppression that they are here to break down is kind of quietly, kind of from behind, kind of the break it down through logic and reason and analysis, as opposed to being the ones on the street with the picket sign is not necessarily the vibe that the Pleiadian starseed brings to the table. So again, not Pleiadians being a little more disinterested in confrontation, conflict, drama. That tends to lend them to solving problems in a more subdued way, to come at it through being intellectual, inquisitive, and trying to show the problems with these systems without being the activist person necessarily. So I thought that was an interesting trait that I've seen in a lot of my starseed clients. And so when we look at the energy of Pleiadian starseeds, they are often described as having very gentle, soothing energies. When I look at Pleiadian energies, I tend to pick it up myself as being very buzzy and electrical feeling. So I often notice that when I work with Pleiadian beings through channeling or through working with my Pleiadian guides, the energy feels very electric and kind of buzzy. As opposed to maybe the Arcturians who feel a little smoother, a little more soothing. So that's just an interesting thing that you may note about Pleiadian starseeds as well. And there is one other interesting thing about Pleiadian starseed energies is because they hold such a high vibration, their energy can actually overwhelm other people. They can be holding such a high frequency that it makes the average person a little uncomfortable or unsure of how to react to the starseed. And I noticed this, it was so funny a couple of years ago when two of my friends told me that they couldn't stand very close to me or sit next to me because my energy made them dizzy. And that was the first time I had ever heard that. And it had not occurred to me that, especially as starseeds are doing their spiritual work and raising their vibration even higher, that our vibration can actually be uncomfortable to other people. So if you notice that, that's just a strange thing that crossed my path that I thought I'd throw out there in case it resonates with someone else, that if you notice that people can't stand very close to you or that your energy just overwhelms certain people, it could be because you are holding such a high vibration that it is just too much for the average person. So anyway, again, one of those just weird quirks of being a starseed, and we are learning more and more every day. So anyway, if you are curious to know whether you are a Pleiadian starseed yourself, the first thing is always just feel into your intuition. Sit in meditation and ask your higher self, ask your guides, am I a Pleiadian starseed? Because your guides and your higher self would love to tell you your starseed origin, what your soul is here to do, what your mission is. You just have to ask. Another great way is to listen to your gut, what resonates with you as I describe some of these characteristics. If you are hearing this and going, every single one is resonating with me, there is probably a good chance that you are a Pleiadian starseed as well. So anyway, I hope this has given you another perspective to look at yourself from, to know yourself a little better. Hope it helped, and I'll see you next time. Bye.